Hello Tarkar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Orc Mode workout. You guys know the spiel on the likes. Just please click like, keep the likes higher than the dislikes, and let's get over to the point. I got in a hurry this morning on my max. I probably didn't take it all the way to a max, but we got above 90%. I ended up needing to do a Skype call a little sooner than I thought for a client, so I didn't keep ramping. I just hit a nice heavy single and kept going. But today was going to be a new stimulus day, and I'm really happy with the Axial bar. Just a quick heads up there, I think we got to like 265 plus 72 pounds of change. I think it's 72 pounds. At this point, I'm not really counting. I'm almost grabbing kind of random chains and just making sure they're even a lot lately, because I just care about getting heavy chain weight. And as I've kind of explained with this right now, I'm going to work on all the grip stuff and work on all the supplemental lifts. And I just want to get used to holding heavy weights at the lockout and getting that nice, hard, eccentric from the heavy chains kind of being a little heavier than I'm used to at the lockout. And I'm just going to do a lot of heavy chain max presses and get in my groove, make sure that I can still handle a regular bar while I mess more with the Axial bar. So that's the game plan, and it should work just fine. And interestingly enough, I'm noticing these really heavy chain ones, even though I'm using a closed grip bench. By anyone's standards, this is closed grip, even though it's a little wider than some of my closed grip. Thumbs are about an inch from the smooths. So I'm also working on really kind of get my bulldog grip a little better, getting elbows adjusted in a certain way, trying to do different things with it, trying to really kind of get that dialed in and get used to that heavy weight. Work on my benching with just the maxes and the chains. Then I decided to do the Axial bar floor press. Now that was a little bit too close grip, but it actually felt good. And sometimes occasionally people will see, like, is that one plate? No, that's two plates, guys. Look close. Those are calibrated plates. They're thinner. Competition plates are thinner than normal plates because they're denser steel than the cast iron you're used to. But if you look close, yeah, it's two. You'll see when I go to one on the overhead press. But I will note that this bar is lighter than 45. So I don't want people to think that I'm doing that even with 225 for my sets of 10, because we know that my last time I did the floor press the other day, I only did just mess with like 205 for sets of 10, right on close grip floor press for the normal bar. And so this is a 30-pound bar in theory, so it's supposed to be 210, and we'll keep working on it, work on getting stronger at it, but it felt good. All right, what I thought was interesting with it, no real shoulder discomfort. Now people are going to say, why are you going to mess with this instead of the dips? I like the dips, but I do get still kind of a weird fatigue in my shoulder joint, and I've realized floor presses are really easy on your shoulders. And done correctly, even the overhead press is. And I noticed that today it felt really good with this bar doing overhead pressing. Now it felt different. I did feel more forearm. I had to be more consciously aware of the gripping. So this will be an interesting bar to mess with, and I think let's go back to just what we know works. Yes, the dips will give me the hypertrophy. They're a great lift. I love dips. Love dips. But I think at this point in the game, let's stick with the lifts that we know hypertrophy the bench muscles, especially for someone like me who's going to be a closed grip bencher. Let's train a ton of volume and just train them really, really hard, and then train accessories to bring them up. We know we need pecs. I get amazing pec stimulation on the floor press. The research, the EMG data shows it's better than sometimes a flat bench for the pecs. And we know it works for my weak point in my bench. Okay? Why not use it for a main hypertrophy exercise? And I've got the different bars to play with, so we can work on my forearm stuff while we do it. Let's just do it. And it's easy on the shoulders. Need to reinvent the wheel. And it's not like the other stuff's abandoned. It all gave hypertrophy, right? I've been training all these lifts. We're still getting stimulus, and we're just continuing with that stimulus with a lot of volume. Well, let's do the floor pressing. And it's not like the floor pressing is even a partial for me. Notice I can touch my chest. So, it is what it is. All good. Especially with that slightly closer grip, and I think it's because that shortens my forearm a little bit. I have long arms, but it shortens my forearm. So it's full range of motion. But we know that as a closed grip bencher, building my delts and triceps as much as possible is going to be the biggest priority. Obviously, chest contributes, but the chest is being trained there. My pecs will grow from that. Pecs will grow from that. And I felt my pecs a lot on the overhead press, too, my whole upper chest at least. Like this bar, this is a good bar for that. And I'll discuss that in a minute, of one of the things that I noticed a little different over the traditional bar for me. But I don't think I'm weaker with it on this. I'm weaker on other lifts. The floor press, I'm not weaker with this bar. And a lot of people said they're not on the floor press. So we're getting the extra forearm stimulus, similar workload. So we can just keep going with it. Let's just flow with it. But easy on my shoulders, and it'll build up what I need. So we're getting pecs from the floor press. We're getting pecs from the max bench. All right, we do this every other day. That's plenty of pec volume for lower chest. It'll be fine. That's most exceeds some people's maximum recoverable volume for a week. All right, run with it and do the max work to get strong. I decided to work back in the pin leg rows using this. So I'm going to try to use it every day now. Like I just took for a few days out, I took it just to upper body while I started adding forearm work. But now because I'm going to be forced to use a lighter weight, slightly lighter for this, and it feels fine when I'm doing it. It's when I turn loose at the bottom, my whole upper forearm cramps. Like the front side of it, right? It cramps up. You notice me squeezing my hands there? It's tough. So let me go back and do these every day, just to make sure I get enough back work, and this is going to be phenomenal forearm work for me. Oh my God. You talk about grip training. Yep. Good investment right here. I think if I made no other changes, I'm going to keep doing all the grip training, but if I made no other changes, this alone, I feel like would work wonders for my grip, doing my rows with this thing. Wow. Worth every penny that bar was. Especially knowing I need grip and forearm specialization for a while. Okay. Wow. I can do it every day. The beauty of it, my back is so overdeveloped that if I'm forced to use a lighter weight on this for a while, it doesn't matter. My back responds to anything anyways. Even the lighter rows, it'll probably still respond with the sort of volumes I'll do. It'll probably grow anyways. So, you know, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We'll just do it every day. That would be half of my grip training right there. We have my grip training. Then we did the press. Now, what's interesting, it feels more comfortable with a wider grip. I can lock a little better on some of them with a wider grip, because for me it's the real narrow grip that's hardest. I still don't get from behind, people look at it and say, that's not like, that is my lockout. Because some of them, when I get to the last rep or two, I pause at the top. And if I can pause, that tells you that my joint is pretty much where it's going to go. Fisheye doesn't help, by the way. It distorts it even more at the top. So if I had my other camera, which I can't get this close, I've got to put it way further back. Probably look a little different. But my upper chest really got a good pump from this. And that's what's different. This felt really nice on the shoulders. Like I felt like a pump all through my shoulder area without any discomfort. Like the sort of maybe tendon pain or whatever we get from certain things that aggravate it, like the dips can even do if I'm not careful. Right? It feels like a really natural movement to do the overhead press with this bar. The wider grip felt more comfortable, which is not normal for me. Right? Now, I was forced to use lighter weight. I hit failure on the last set. I couldn't complete all 10. And this is a lightweight. But everything felt a really good pump, and it felt like a really natural movement. Now, the pin lays were hard on my forearms. Now I see why a lot of guys do the overhead press with an Axial bar. Well, I mean, they clean and then press it too, because I think we're strongman and stuff. But it just feels like a really natural movement, which was interesting. And just finding the grip that felt natural was right there, just outside of normal shoulder width. It's outside or right at shoulder width. Normally I go narrower. It was a comfortable position. And you know what? I felt a lot of upper pec. I felt at least the side and front head of the delt, and I felt my upper pec on that. And triceps to some extent. So, good mass builder. Let's come back over to the point. Why press? Because I'm getting enough pec on the other stuff, and every coach out there, ask any long-term amazing strength coach with big raw benchers. A lot of them will tell you any guy who's strong at the strict press has a big bench. Let's go back work on my strict press too. Do it for hypertrophy, because I mean the size equals strength. I don't need to max on it. Let's train it for volume and get good at my sets of 10. Work on progressive overload in the 10 rep range. Now, what was interesting, my triceps were more fatigued than normal for this. When I went to do my skull crushers that use the long head, guess what? I hit failure a rep or two faster than I do normally. And I think because I'm getting more long head involvement on this press, and I haven't been doing that first, it's all been chest presses, my triceps were more fatigued. People say, well, is that a good thing? Yeah, it's a good thing, because it also means that if my smaller movement gets more fatigued by this bigger movement than other movements that use the triceps are, that means there's more direct carryover at the heads. And we know the overhead press uses more long head than a chest press. That also means this extra work that I'm doing on this will carry over to that press. You guys see where I'm going with this? If this smaller exercise I'm doing for hypertrophy feeds one of my main supplemental lifts better, it'll get stronger faster. And if the press gets stronger faster, in theory, all my close grip benching should get stronger faster. So we just feed all the exercises in a flow. All these hypertrophy movements feed into the size, which then feeds into the strength of the other lifts that make my main lifts go up. Get it all in a flow. And everything is addressing more than one thing. People need to realize that. Even my smaller exercises are here to address more than one point. That's why I'm doing the Axial bar for stuff. I need to address my forearms more and more. As much forearm work as I can tolerate. I need to blow them up. My grip strength and my forearms need to come up. My bench and my deadlift will benefit. My squat is coming along amazing. I could probably do nothing but hip thrust and max squats, and my squats would keep climbing now. That's the way I feel. But this stuff's got to come up. We got to bring up those shoulders too. Get all of it. Get everything. Everything has served multiple purposes at this point. And it's working. I feel like I'm starting to get thicker. I think I almost looked leaner today in some of these so far. Scale weight's the same, but, you know, I don't know. Maybe some of this hypertrophy work's recomping me a little bit up top. Probably. Should be in theory. But these lifts felt good today. You know, it's like everything with the Axial bar felt good. These exercises felt good. I felt, again, a deep fatigue in my triceps, my delts. Like all three heads of my delts from this. Felt it all the way in. And really trying to take these to where I get the failure, you know. Early sets, I didn't get the hands out as much. I'm trying to get the hands out a little more. Trying to get a little bit of forward lean so that we get more side delt, less front. Because I do keep my thumbs up to protect the rotator cuffs. I feel like all this is improving my traps. I think now that I've added the overhead press back in, that with this stuff, my traps are going to come up even more. They're getting bigger. Get everything in order. Right? And this day is mostly dedicated to just building my bench and bench muscles, right? That's what the point of this is. But that is your whole upper body, right? Because even the rows contribute to everything else. And obviously I do forearm work and other stuff later. Someone had asked me in the comments, what are you doing for the grip work? Well, it's multiphasic. We're obviously doing now all this Axial bar stuff. I do behind the back wrist curls, like standing ones. I do really, really high rep hammer curls with bands to failure, and that's all done later in the day. I'm alternating back and forth between using my biggest pinch block. I've gone to pinch blocks, and I take it all the way to my big one. I don't even use a thin one now. And then I use the Captains of Crush grippers for crush grip. People say, what's the difference? Thumbs versus fingers. Okay, crushing is more fingers. Pinching is more thumb. Okay? Need to get both strong, right? And just thicken my forearms up on top of it. You know, it'll build better stability on my bench, improve my grip and stability for the deadlift, because those need to come up now. I need to get that bench up on par with the squat and the deadlift. And the only thing holding my deadlift back, I think, is the grip. So we address everything. We address our weak points. We address our weak points. And if your weak points, if you focus most of your effort into your weak points, like, right, you put 50% of your training into your general training, which is what I do about now, and the other half into your weak points. Really, really strengthening your weak points. If you get your weakest points stronger, you're going to be a beast. You will be a beast, right? Because if your weakest points are always being prioritized, you're always going to get all the way strong. And that's what all of this is about. That's what the whole orc mode thing is about. And today is orky. Everything was axial bar or chains. And that's orc mode. Big, thick axial bar to where we have to work our forearms and grip more. Chains swinging everywhere. Trying to get big shoulders. Big forearms, big triceps. Right? Orc mode, guys. That's orc mode. Axial bars and chains. Because we have to get thick. Thick doesn't mean we have to get fat. Doesn't mean we have to get fat. Because if anything, I feel like today, some of the extra water and stuff is coming back and forth. Someone had asked me, and I banned them, honestly. Are you getting fat? Are you looking at you getting fat? Just hit the ban. I ain't got time for that. I don't have time for that nonsense. I think some of it's come, whatever bloat or fat or whatever I might have been holding. Looks like it's dropping back off a little bit. So, who knows? My body goes back and forth. A lot of times people do need to remember my training volume is really, really high and intense. I'm going to have more cortisol on some days than others. There are going to be days where sometimes I've got to get 10, 12 hours of sleep every now and then just to bring everything back in check. There's going to be changes in water weight, bloat. It's going to change around. I've added some extra quality stuff to my diet. You know, like a few extra nuts and blueberries and stuff. Just trying to make sure I'm getting good nutrition, even though I eat mostly animal-based stuff. So, these things all help. You got to keep it all in balance. This training is hard. It's hard, and you have to put all that in perspective. But it was a good workout today. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the axial bar. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.